These are surely among the strangest birds in the world. They make their nests of spit and can fly in total darkness. But this is not the imperfect darkness of night, it's the deeper darkness of the underworld. For the birds are cave swiftlets, and they nest in the great limestone caverns of Southeast Asia. The swiftlets bridge two worlds, the black world of the caves and the green, sunlit upper world of the tropical forest. Here, that forest stands on limestone. Limestone that is often hollow with caves of gigantic proportions. Our story is set in one such group of caves, the Gomantong Caves in Sabah, in northern Borneo. This is Simut Hitam, the Black Cave. Water, seeping down from the forest above, seeks out plains of weakness in the limestone and dissolves it away. Over the millennia, tiny pipes and channels become subterranean rivers, huge tunnels that may later be left high and dry as the water finds an even deeper course. Into this dark sanctuary comes life, extraordinary in its variety. Some creatures, like bats, use the caves as temporary haven from the outside world, a safe place to roost during the day. Others spend their whole existence in total darkness. Men come to the caves too. There's a prize here of such value that they'll risk their lives in the vastness of the caverns to gather it. At Gomantong, 3 different kinds of swiftlet are found deep within the caves, often far beyond the reach of daylight. This is the mossy nest swiftlet. Its nest is made of moss and other vegetation, cemented together with rubbery saliva. The nest is always built on a ledge, and it looks much like that of the swiftlet's relatives in the outside world. But by nesting in the caves, this bird gains shelter from the elements and avoids many of the hazards of the world outside. But how does it find its way in the dark? The blackness in these deep tunnels is absolute. Even the most sensitive of eyes are useless here. The answer is that the swiftlets have evolved echolocation, rather like bats. Those strange clicking and rattling calls are reflected back from the walls of the cave. By picking up the echoes, the birds can avoid obstacles as little as 5 millimeters across. These nests belong to a second kind of swiftlet, the black nest swiftlet. They're made entirely of feathers and hardened saliva. There's no vegetable matter in them at all. And they are cemented to sheer or even overhanging rock faces high in the roof of the cave. These ones are 70 meters up. Incredibly, it's these nests that bring people to Simut Hitam. They're used to make bird's nest soup. This bird is still building its nest. You can see the strands of saliva coming out of its beak. It will add a layer of feathers from its own breast, if its mate will let it. Black-nest swiftlets always nest in colonies densely packed together. There may be as many as 100 nests to the square metre, and at Gamantong the total population numbers hundreds of thousands. This colony belongs to another kind of swiftlet, the white-nest swiftlet. It gives its name to the second of the two great caverns at Gamantong, Simut Pute, the White Cave. Its nest is one of the most remarkable constructions in the animal kingdom. It's made entirely of hardened saliva. There are no feathers or strands of vegetable matter in it at all. It's painstakingly built up from layer upon layer of solidified spit. This intricate process has hardly ever been seen before, let alone filmed. Each nest may take as much as a month to build, even though both partners share the work. As with the black nests, they're built high in the roof of the cave, a roof that in Simut Pute may be an incredible 150 meters up. That's more than 3 times the height of Nelson's column, and these pure white nests are the most highly prized by the nest collectors. In the hour before dawn, the swiftlets leave the cave and fly out over the forest. It takes more than an hour for all the swiftlets to leave. As gibbons greet the sunrise with their calls, the birds are still streaming in thousands from the mouth of the cave. The swiftlets fan out far and wide over the forest canopy. They'll spend the day hawking for insects above the trees, but on the way they must run the gauntlet of creatures such as this, a rufous-bellied eagle. It takes up station on a tree overlooking the mouth of the cave. Not every stoop is as successful as that, but there are so many swiftlets that an eagle can account for half a dozen in an hour. The shrilling of cicadas marks the end of the day. Swiftlets returning to the caves at dusk meet huge swirling flocks of bats spiraling out. These are free-tailed bats. There's an estimated 500,000 of them in this one roost at Comantong. At least 8 kinds of bat are found in these caves. These are diademed horseshoe bats. Like most of the others, they're insect eaters. They roost here during the day and hunt over the forest at night. But these ones haven't gone out to feed with the rest. This is a maternity ward. All these bats are females with young. The babies are clinging to a false nipple low on the bodies of their upside-down mothers. To suckle from the true nipple, they just move down a bit. But when their mothers do go out to feed, they will be parked upside down on the cave wall. Beneath the bat roosts, great piles of guano accumulate. This huge dune is 100 meters from top to bottom, the droppings of 500,000 bats. It stinks of ammonia, and its surface shimmers and seethes with countless thousands of golden cockroaches. There's a whole community of creatures living in the guano, recycling the bats' waste products. The cave provides ideal conditions for them: high humidity, constant temperatures, abundant food. Many spend their whole lives here and never see the light of day. All are dependent on the bats and swiftlets for their nourishment. Were it not for that vital link with the outside world, the caverns would be almost sterile. Each kind of guano has its own fauna. This is swiftlet guano, subtly different in its texture and composition. This is the guano-eating caterpillar of a tiny moth, a relative of our own clothes moth. It makes itself a protective casing from fragments of insect cuticle, rather as a caddisfly larva does with twigs and pebbles. The cave is a kaleidoscope of miniature worlds. Every nook and cranny has its own fauna, taking advantage of the special conditions. A black lagoon of liquefied bat droppings draws freshwater crabs, scavengers from the forest outside. Any swiftlet that falls from the nests above is soon dismembered. The crabs are scavengers of the wetter parts of the cave. In the darkness of dry tunnels, their place is taken by something else. Cave crickets. These are the vultures of the caverns, with long antennae continually awave to detect the slightest air movement. They sniff out carrion, a dead bat. No dead or dying bat that falls to ground lasts for long. After the crickets come other scavengers. Nothing is wasted. But this is just a part of the chain. Not all waving antennae lead to comparatively harmless crickets. A giant, poisonous centipede. It's as long as a man's hand. Despite that tangle of legs, it's a fast runner. But most of the time it waits motionless until a cricket comes within reach of those venomous jaws. There are other hunters too in this underworld. A cave racer snake. These pallid serpents spend their whole lives in the cave. They can grow to 2 meters or more. Bats make up much of the cave racers' food. Many they collect by patrolling the floor of the cavern beneath the roosts, picking off sick or injured ones like this that have fallen to the ground. The ground beneath the roosting bats yields most of the cave racers' victims, but by no means all. Some they catch by lying in wait in narrow passages or at the entrances to the cave, with their mouths open. So numerous are the bats and swiftlets that sooner or later one flies within reach of the open jaws. And if that fails, they can climb the walls of the cave, taking advantage of any roughness or irregularity in the rocks to attain the high galleries where the bats and swiftlets roost. That's why swiftlets build their nests in such inaccessible places, even on the overhanging vaults of the very roof of the cavern. White-nest swiftlets like this lay 2 eggs, black-nest swiftlets only 1. Both parents share the incubation. After 24 days, the young hatch. The parents share the task of feeding them, flying hundreds of meters down dark tunnels to the outside world to bring insects from the forest. It will take 45 days for these young to fledge, and at least 60 for the single chick of the black-nest swiftlet, far longer than for comparable birds in temperate climes. So breeding swiftlets are very vulnerable to disturbance. The most likely cause of such disturbance is man. At the start of each breeding season, men come to Gomantong. From strong timbers wedged in the roof of the cave, they hang long ladders made from rattan, a climbing palm that grows in the forest outside. Then they haul up walkways of rattan and bamboo. When these are lashed in place, they will stretch from the ladders to the walls of the cave. It takes a team of some 6 men to get just one of their number up into the vault of the cavern. Only when the caves are peopled can their incredible scale be appreciated. The purpose of this elaborate venture is to collect the swiftlets' nests. There's been a trade in birds' nests from Borneo for centuries. It was already old when the first European traders came here early in the 1600s. The collecting is a highly skilled craft and a dangerous one. Here in Gomantong, 3 people have been killed in the last 20 years. In every cave where swiftlets breed, the collecting rights belong to somebody. Here at Gomantong, it's the government, but most caves are still privately owned. Rights can be bought and sold or handed down from father to son. So valuable is the harvest that as the time for collection approaches, guards are posted to all entrances to the cave to prevent theft. Some even sleep in the caves. Despite the risks, the rewards for nest collecting are considerable. The end product, a bowl of bird's nest soup, can cost £10 or more. Ironically, it has no nutritive value, and it tastes only of whatever other flavouring is added to the basic ingredient. Here in Simwood Hitam, the main harvest is black nests. They need a lot of processing to make them edible, so they're less valuable than the purer white nests from Simwood Pute. Those can be worth as much as £3 a nest, and it takes 2 nests to make a single bowl of soup. Nests are collected early in the breeding season, before most of the birds have laid. Most pairs rebuild, and there's another collection after the young have fledged. In some cases, nests are over-collected and yields are declining. But with proper management, this extraordinary harvest need not reduce the number of birds. Birds that are perhaps the most remarkable inhabitants of the black caverns of Borneo.
In this awe-inspiring landscape, the canyons are so deep, the precipices so high, and the distances so far, it's easy to lose sight of reality. Cliffs are strange and daunting places to live. It seems nothing could thrive here. Yet to those that can hang on, the sheer walls offer shade, shelter, and food. An impressive chain of uplands in the USA once stretched from the Rocky Mountains in Colorado and New Mexico to the desert basins of Arizona and Utah. For eons, wind and water worked at the rock, carving the high plateau into a land of chasms, monoliths, and regal arches. The landscape appears deserted, but in the deepest recesses of this vertical world, there is life. Its presence is given away by the slightest sound, a fleeting glimpse, a dancing shadow. The bobcat is not uncommon, but it keeps to the shade and the shadows, so it's rarely seen. It's an opportunist, eating anything it can corner and catch, including lizards. To make the most of its narrow retreat, the chuckwalla gulps air, inflating its body until it's firmly wedged between the rock. A bobcat could hook it out with a sharp claw if it could reach it. The hunted must periodically come out to feed. All the hunters have to do is watch and wait. The prairie falcon has acute vision and can detect the slightest movement below. Over 1,000 years ago, the falcon would have seen beneath it the activities of a thriving human community, which is now long gone. Around AD 1300, a severe drought may have forced the Anasazi Indians, who had lived in the sheltered recesses of the canyon walls for 700 years, to abandon their homes. But today, those homes are not deserted. There's a limited supply of seeds on the cliff face, so a chipmunk climbs up to the top in search of food. Its activities have not gone unnoticed. The falcon's patience is rewarded. Whirling its tail helps to maintain balance and may even reduce the speed of its fall. Rock squirrels are easier for falcons to catch than chipmunks. They're larger and slower, but too heavy to carry off. Out in the open, even a falcon is vulnerable. A passing eagle flying high above causes the smaller bird to mantle its catch to hide it. But the golden eagle is after larger prey. Desert bighorns are superbly adapted for life on boulder-strewn cliffs. Their cloven hooves have hard edges and spongy centers that provide good traction even on sheer rock. They can scramble up and down precipitous slopes which are well beyond the abilities of most of their enemies. Only eagles pose a threat. They occasionally kill newborn lambs. During the breeding season, small groups of females are herded by a mature ram who claims exclusive mating rights. But his reign will only last for as long as he can fight off rivals. He needs to sire as many offspring as possible while he's still dominant, and he checks his harem constantly for their readiness to mate. "20 years ago, bighorns were seriously threatened by disease and hunters. Hunting is now strictly controlled, and the sheep have made a remarkable comeback. But poachers continue to endanger their survival. In the past, marksmen kept their eye in by practicing on the image of the real thing. The Anasazi's rock art tells us much about their way of life and the wild animals they observed and hunted. Defacing the rock was outlawed long ago. Lizards were obviously abundant, but the rock also bears evidence of their distant ancestors. Huge fossilized footprints of dinosaurs, which lived here 150 million years ago, trail up the cliff faces. Shallow depressions on the cliff tops are the products of erosion, not prehistoric monsters. They hold an ancient secret, a dormant life form which the rain will awake. Summer storms deluge the cliff tops. The runoff pours over the edge as temporary waterfalls, filling pools below. Within hours, the pools ring with the sound of courting canyon tree frogs. These frogs are well adapted to life on a vertical plane. Sucker-like toes enable them to cling onto sheer surfaces. At night, the male's croaks resound across the water, attracting females from as much as a mile away. Within days, they will all have spawned, and within a few weeks, tiny frogs will be crawling from the dwindling pools to start new lives in permanently damp areas on the cliff face. Along the back wall of a few alcoves, there are little oases where water seeps through porous sandstone. In these hanging gardens, scarlet monkey flowers flourish along with shooting stars and yellow columbines. The availability of water limits plant growth, but where it runs freely, there are enough flowers to attract nectar feeders. In an average year, less than 10 inches of rain falls to dampen this parched land, but after the storms, the cliff tops are pockmarked with pools cupped in the desert rock. Primitive life forms dominate the pothole communities. They include some of the oldest groups of crustaceans, like the tiny clam shrimp. The females are already ripe with eggs. Pothole organisms have had to adapt in a unique way to survive in this harsh and fluctuating environment. The tiny shrimps are so finely tuned to their temporary world that they can turn their life forces on and off as quickly as they get wet or dry. The stresses of life in a desert pothole are among the most extreme in the world. A sudden downpour can radically change the temperature, acidity, and oxygen levels. Heavy rain can flood the pool, flushing out its tiny inhabitants to certain death. Now, new hazards threaten their existence. In a realm where water can vanish in a matter of hours, speed is vital. The pothole community's only chance of survival is to breed. In the sandy bottom, thousands of eggs await the coming of the next rains. Then the fast and furious process of growth and reproduction will begin all over again. Marooned by the retreating water, few of the adults will live to see another day. At dusk, night hunters prowl the cliffs. The ring-tail cat was once encouraged by miners, gold panners and prospectors as a mascot and a good omen. It helped to limit the numbers of cockroaches, mice and snakes down the mines and round the camps. Pallid bats, too, helped to control vermin, even during the heyday of the Anasazi. Several types of scorpion live on the cliffs. The sting of the striped-tailed scorpion is no worse than a bee's, but it can disable a small mammal. The bat bites the head trying to paralyze its victim before it can strike back. And the bats do regularly get stung. They should writhe in agony, but they seem to find the effects only mildly irritating. They may be immune to the venom. The venom gets broken down during digestion, so even the sting can safely be eaten. Pallid bats are common in a wide variety of habitats. They thrive on the cliffs, but they're not restricted to them. Higher up the slopes, there's a highly specialized creature which lives round cliff tops. The canyon mouse rarely needs to drink. It gets all the liquid it needs from the body fluids of insect prey. The corpses of what was until a few hours ago a thriving pothole community provide both food and moisture. Antlers are rich in calcium and other essential minerals, and the mice often chew on them. High on the cliff, the mice are relatively safe. Few predators can climb to the top to hunt them. In the cracks and crevices lower down, there are enemies which can slither into the rock's labyrinth of dark tunnels. The lyre snake's large eyes are highly sensitive to dim light, enabling the serpent to hunt after dusk. The snake absorbs heat from the rocks, unlike the lizard, which relies on the sun's rays to warm its body. So the snake can hunt at night when the lizards are cold and sluggish. The pack rat is too bulky to swallow, so has nothing to fear. It builds stick houses among rocky screes or in cracks on the ledges. These rodents have lived on the ledges for thousands of years, often building new houses on top of old ones. They're hoarders. They festoon their homes with pebbles, cactus pads, bits of bone and other debris. They find shiny objects irresistible. Among the junk, more valuable items have been found, including ancient stick animals made by the Anasazi. Grain harvested by the tribe has also been discovered in the foundations of pack rat houses, giving us clues to the Indians' diet, as well as the climatic conditions of those far-off days. Pack rats can breed at an amazing rate. Each female gives birth to between 1 and 5 young at a time and can have 4 litters a year. At a week old, the young are covered with fine fur. In another 6 days, their eyes will have opened, and at 2 months old, they will be capable of breeding. The cliffs could become overrun with rodents if there weren't predators to help keep their populations in check. The ringtail cat actually belongs to the raccoon family. Although it's omnivorous, eating plants, birds and lizards, insects and rodents form the bulk of its diet. The maze of tunnels beneath the boulders offers sanctuary to a deer mouse, but it'll only be safe if it doesn't panic and break cover. It has taken millions of years for the cliff dwellers to adapt to the ups and downs of their vertical environment. One day, time and erosion will reduce the cliffs to a pile of rubble, and the landscape will lose its most striking feature. But until then, they will remain a place of refuge for all the animals which can hang on to them.